You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Monday, happy Moon Day, and welcome to a new week. We've got a lot of fun transits to talk about this week. So first, we'll start with today's forecast, which is pretty quick, pretty easy, kind of setting the stage for the energy to build over the week, and then I'll walk you through the major transits coming up. We haven't done this in a while, but we've had a lot going on Mondays the past few weeks, and I just felt like, today's the day. Today's the day to give a little preview of what's ahead. Hello, thank you for being here. Hope you had a great weekend as well. Katie's here. Nick is here. Corby's here. Amazing, amazing. So get comfortable, get ready. We're going to walk through it. And before I forget, I keep forgetting, let's talk about notable birthdays. Today, August 15th. Ben Affleck, such a Leo. J-Lo's a Leo, lots of Leo energy. Jennifer Lawrence, also a Leo. Let's see. Anne, the royal princess. Joe Jonas. Nipsey Hussle is a Leo. Julia Child was a Leo. I'm not sure if she's still kicking it. Anthony Anderson, Deborah Messing. Lots of notable Leos, which, again, no surprise, because Leos love to be in the spotlight, right? Let me know if you are a Leo, if someone you know is celebrating a birthday today or this week, so we can give them a shout out in the comments as well. Hi, Rose. Oh, good morning from Alaska. Amazing. Are you Pacific time? I'm so curious. I've never even looked into what time zone, I guess maybe multiple time zones that Alaska is in. Maybe Hawaiian time? I don't know. Let us know. We're here to learn something new, right? Let's jump into today's forecast. So the sun is still in Leo, and the sun is now at 22 degrees today, so still has a ways to go. Virgo season, I believe, starts next week. So we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of Leo season now and soaking in that magnetic energy for the next week and a half or so. The moon is in Aries, so we have a fiery start to the week. You might have woken up with a burst of energy, and there's a reason for that. So let's get into today's forecast. I'm actually going to start with what's going on with the moon and then talk about what's going on with the planets, because it'll make more sense that way, and you'll see why. So let's pull up the chart and jump into it. Hello from Santa Clarita. Hi. Okay, so starting with the moon in Aries. Remember, we're in the waning gibbous phase of the moon. The full moon has passed. Now it's time to start the process of release, letting go, and the waning moon is all about slowing down and letting things shed, letting things flow out. I always say when the moon is in Aries, but especially when we're talking about a waning moon in Aries, move your body to release tension over the next couple of days. Physically get the energy out of you. So you can see on our chart here, the moon is at 11 degrees as we speak of Aries, sandwiched right between Jupiter and Chiron. So those are the major moon transits we're going to be talking about today. But just in general, before we talk about those connections, I'm so curious, how's everybody feeling to start this week under an Aries moon? Are you feeling newfound motivation or energy after the full moon, or are you kind of depleted? Either way, moving your body is definitely going to help. Movement, action is favored under the Aries moon. Even in this waning phase, when we're talking about releasing, sometimes physically moving can get that energy out of us. Rachel says, so this past weekend, I went to the beach, went on a dolphin boat tour. Ooh, all the dolphins were out, and the tour guide mentioned the super full moon might be why animals are just as attuned, if not more attuned, to what's going on with the moon, especially when we talk about the ocean, because of course the moon rules the tides, and this time of year, when the moon is closer to Earth, I'm sure those dolphins were feeling the energy of that Aquarius moon. And the moon was in Pisces probably when you were on this boat tour. So activating that water energy, the dolphins were in their vibe. Oh, Alaska has its own time zone. Who knew? Who knew? Perfect, Katie. Already did weight training today. You're ahead of the game. Definitely feeling more energetic, beautiful, feeling better than last week. We love to hear that. Still tired, but have some errands to run. So moving my body will help. Yeah, isn't that funny how sometimes when we're like, oh, I just don't want to do anything, and then we start moving, we're like, oh, okay, that's where the energy was. So hopefully that's how it goes for you today. Feeling better today. Last week was rough. Last week was rough, Becca. Over the weekend, we had Goddess Night Out, our monthly dance event here in Sacramento. And during our opening circle, I just had everyone close their eyes and raise their hand if there was some sort of breakdown, breakthrough, chaos, exhaustion, just anything dramatic or, rough that happened the week before. And almost every single person in the circle raised their hands when we opened our eyes. And I'm like, yeah, we've all been feeling it. We've all been feeling it. So this week should feel a little bit lighter. We have a really positive transit we're working towards that we'll get into in just a little bit. And we don't have a full moon. So at least the energy is calming down a little bit. Santa Monica Beach last weekend. Oh my goodness, take me with you. I could fit in a suitcase. That sounds great. All right, so coming back to the waning moon in Aries, moving our body. Yes, can't say that enough. This morning at 4 a.m., the moon was conjunct Jupiter in Aries over here at 8 degrees. This is 4 a.m. Pacific time. I've noticed there have been a lot of transits happening right around that 4 a.m. mark. Almost every other day, there's a transit happening, and it's usually with Mars or Jupiter. And I noticed I've been waking up at 4 a.m. and like getting up, going to the bathroom, coming back to bed. So the moon forming a conjunction to Jupiter, especially if you live on the East Coast or farther east, you probably woke up today with optimism, like, let's go, we're ready. And even here in the Pacific time zone, we were still feeling that conjunction as the day got going today. So you might have woken up earlier than expected because sometimes Jupiter, especially in Aries with the moon in Aries, can bring that burst of energy. But in general, it sounds like most of us are feeling more optimistic, looking forward to the week ahead, and we can thank Jupiter for that. Oh, on Instagram, Mayor of Idlewild says, still in a high vibration from the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, amazing energy and motivation. The Lionsgate portal technically closed on Saturday, but we can still use those activations that came through, and those activations could have caused some of the drama in our lives, right? Sometimes the things that come through in these highly energetic portals or days can cause major shifts. So it really feels like we're ready to keep moving forward now with the moon in Aries, and this conjunction to Jupiter gives us the little boost of encouragement that we need to be like, it's all going to work out. We just got to keep moving forward. Yeah, finally felt that releasing energy over the weekend. Thankful for the Pisces moon, right? Like really sealing the deal on releasing after the full moon, like just let it all out. Yeah, great timing too. Great timing. I'm tired, but getting chores done and just trying to wind down from the exciting weekend. Yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad you had a great weekend. Yeah, so Nick, you were probably feeling that conjunction to Jupiter. Woke up around 4:45, couldn't sleep anymore, felt that get out there and live today vibe. That's the perfect description for the moon forming a conjunction to Jupiter. Like, let's just go on an adventure today, get out there, live our lives. Yes, absolutely. So that's the first transit we felt today. Now, there's only one other connection the moon is making, and that is the conjunction to Chiron tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So we're still really feeling the Jupiter energy. We're like, yes, today has endless possibilities. Tonight, we're going to want to watch aggressive tendencies, because when the moon meets up with Chiron, especially in Aries, our wounds can be triggered. There's just really no way around that. And it's helpful to know about it, right? Because it could be something small that, just provokes something in you, and then you have this reaction. The Aries moon is more reactive and aggressive in typical Aries fashion. So it's not to say, oh my gosh, be scared of triggers tonight. It's just more like, hey, be mindful about how you're reacting to things. Maybe people don't intend for their words to come across the way they're coming across. Just could be a little triggered, could be a little reactive. Use your emotions as learning opportunities, and be gentle with yourself and other people if you do get triggered tonight. So, and I will say Chiron is the wounded healer, so those triggers can create healing, but often we have to be aware of the things that are bothering us or provoking us to understand what we need to heal. So if you find yourself in that situation tonight, it's all good, all good. Just know, okay, here's an opportunity for healing, and we have the motivation and optimism to do it today. So that's what's going on with the moon. But there is a major connection starting to play out. So today, actually right now as we speak, Mercury in Virgo is forming a nice harmonious angle to the North Node. So we have Mercury at 17 degrees, the North Node at 17 degrees. They're forming this nice balanced trine. Tomorrow, Mercury will form that same angle to Uranus. So this energy today feels like it's really setting the stage and kind of opening our mind, opening our mental state for insights to flow through that are going to show us the direction we need to go. Of course, the North Node represents our karmic destiny, our purpose, the lessons we're here to learn, the energy we're meant to embody. And it's like we had the weekend to release and to let it all out from all the chaos that was kind of created under the full moon. And now it feels like, okay, we're gaining insights and information, maybe some new ideas on how to move forward. The energy of today really feels like, okay, we're moving forward now. So Mercury harmonizing with the North Node today, I just see this as opening our mind to new insights, new information that is helping us, continue the path we're meant to walk. Also, with Mercury and Virgo, we are more aware of small details, right? Very detail oriented with Mercury and Virgo. The small details of our schedule, the small parts of our day that make up the whole, maybe the little tidbits of information that are coming through that are helping us kind of create the bigger understanding or picture. So really be cognizant of little pieces of information coming through today that could open us up to bigger realizations as Mercury comes into that same angle with Uranus tomorrow. It might even just be like a little message, a butterfly, or something small that kind of opens you up like an aha, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be paying attention to this now. It's like these small messages, these small ideas, these small details are little nudges in the direction of our highest good as Mercury harmonizes with the North Node. I'm a Virgo, Scorpio rising with Chiron, 27 degrees of Taurus. So this Chiron activation won't be super activating for you. You do have some fixed energy, so that full moon might have been intense, but Mercury, you have your Mercury in Virgo, so you'll be having your Mercury return soon, which for you having Mercury in Virgo, I see that as like crystal clear thinking coming through in the next probably week or so. Maybe a really clear idea comes through for you, Nick. Okay, so that's the energy of this Monday. Now let's start to walk through the week ahead. starting with what's happening tomorrow. Mercury forming that same angle to Uranus. And like I said, it's almost as if today's energy is setting us up, setting the stage for bigger ideas, more innovative ideas, even change. I wanted to say life changing, but that sounds really dramatic. Maybe it's Venus and Leo, I don't know. But like ideas that kind of change direction or create shifts. Uranus is the disruptor. But with this being such a fortunate angle between Mercury and Uranus, I see it as like a breakthrough idea, if that makes sense, or even just a situation that happens that causes, you can see that trine here now, that causes our mindset to shift, our mindset to change. Mercury harmonizing with Uranus. Uranus, you know, we often talk about it being disruptive, breakdown, rebellious, but also Uranus rules innovation and technology. So it could be this innovative idea that kind of shakes up the way you've been thinking about something that comes through when Mercury harmonizes with Uranus on Tuesday. And we'll be feeling this energy not just today and tomorrow, but throughout the week. So just stay open, stay flexible, stay grounded with this harmony happening in earth signs. That will be very helpful to just kind of keep both feet on the ground and allow your mind to open, if that makes sense. I almost get a visual, if you're not into human design, you can disregard this, but I almost get like a visual of a human design chart of like really staying grounded in the lower part of our body so we can stay open in our mind and let new ideas come through while not allowing them to like completely rock our world, if that makes sense. So just stay flexible and grounded at the same time. We can do both. We can do both. My husband has Chiron and his moon in Cancer in the 8th house. So he might be a little triggered today because Chiron is going to form a square to his Chiron and his moon. Just, it's great that you know that, right? I had this really, actually speaking of breakthroughs, I love when you guys comment because it just always triggers things in me to share. So thank you, Katie. I had this really big breakthrough yesterday that I'll share with you all because you're like virtual family here. You know, without getting into the nitty gritty of it, there was like a triggering moment in our household yesterday. And I always tell you, and I always tell myself, we can be the observer of our emotions, right? Like being the observer of them rather than being in them and fully identifying with them can be really helpful. But yesterday I had this moment where I thought, not only can I be the observer of my emotions, but I can be the observer of other people's emotions too. I don't have to take them on. I don't have to play into them. I can simply be the observer, like, wow, that's how you're feeling right now. That must be difficult. That must be frustrating, you know, and not be so like, ugh, why? You know, or like, I don't want to, even the energy of like, I don't want to deal with that. That is having some sort of reaction to emotion. And instead just being the observer can be really helpful because, you know, you're all here, bettering yourselves, getting into the right mindset for the day. Not everybody in our homes or our families or in our workplaces are in the same mindset. So as open-minded and grounded as we can be, sometimes other people are still not quite there. And being the observer of their emotions, just take that with you. You might need it tonight as the moon forms a conjunction to Chiron. Katie also says, I've been feeling a push for a change in my family's communication. Uranus is transiting your 4th house. Beautiful. Changing the dynamic of how your family operates. I love that. And with Mercury and Uranus forming this harmony, you know, it's definitely a great time to maybe change the dynamic of how you're communicating within your family. I'm thinking as well that Mercury would probably be in your 9th house then, which is a very expansive energy. So really expanding your mind, bringing in new ideas that help you make those changes in your 4th house home and family area. Oh, good. I'm glad that resonated for you. You know, I love that I can share my experiences with you all and feel safe in this community we're creating together. And, you know, sometimes I think just being like, yeah, we're all triggered sometimes. I don't have it all figured out, right? But sometimes I have these insights that I'm like, I really need to share that. Really need to learn this. Rachel says, my partner and I have been triggering each other lately. Thank you, Uranus. Yeah, and the full moon. Just trying not to take on the burdens he is trying to work through. Yeah, and it's so difficult. I think Katie actually on Instagram messaged me and was like, isn't humaning with another person crazy? I'm like, yeah, because they're having their own human experience. We're having our own human experience. And it's difficult sometimes. And we're sharing energy. We're literally in the same space as each other. So I get it. It's hard. Sometimes I'm not always like, I'm just the observer of my emotions and your emotions. Sometimes I am the emotion. Sometimes I am like, oh, you're going to trigger me. I'm going to trigger you right back. So this is not to say that I've got it down, but it's just something to keep in your mind and just to be the observer of their human experience along with your own human experience. Exactly. We're just being humans. We're just having a human experience over here. And sometimes that's triggering. It's not always easy, but it's part of the bigger picture of healing and awareness. And it's why we're all here. It's why we're all into astrology. It's why we are all taking the time out of our day to get into this mindset so we can raise our vibration and help the world raise its vibration at the same time. It's big work, even just tuning in and being aware. There are a lot of humans out there that even having this conversation, they'd be like, nope, shutting that off, So just props to you for being open and listening to it and taking this in. And maybe that's part of this harmony that's happening between Mercury and Uranus, these insights that are coming in about how we're communicating, a change, like Katie said, in how we're communicating with other people. So really paying attention to what's going on, where Taurus is in your chart, because that area of the chart has been way activated for the past couple weeks with that Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction that we're still feeling. Mars will be at the anaretic degree of Taurus later this week. So really looking to where Taurus falls in your chart. That could be where a major change is happening, a major shift is happening, and as well as Virgo, where is the communication really being focused and honed in on? Where's the information coming from in your chart with this trine between Mercury and Uranus? So big changes, communication is key, absolutely. Big changes in how we're communicating, maybe a change in a thought, a mindset, or an innovative idea that can come through. This can be a really exciting transit if we allow it to be. All right. This isn't meant to be a breakdown of each. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. I just want to take you briefly through what's coming up this week. Tomorrow, the moon moves into Taurus, still in the waning gibbous phase of the moon. So again, look at what's going on in Taurus or where Taurus rules in your chart, because we're really going to be honed in on that area. And if it straddles two different houses, maybe take note of both houses, as some of the energy will likely be in one, as Mars transits into Gemini at the end of this week. We'll get to that in the moment. It'll be in the next sector of your chart. You know what I'm saying. If you don't have a copy of your chart, you know where to find it. Scan the QR code. There's also a link down in the description. Taurus is your 6th house, so probably a lot of awareness about your routine, your health and wellness that's been coming up over the past couple weeks. And there could be an insight, an idea, or even just like a shift in your routine. Mercury also can rule our routine. And I will say you'll be nurtured by that routine with Taurus ruling your 6th house. So the moon moves into Taurus tomorrow, still in the waning phase, inviting us to get a little more grounded, get a little more comfortable, and really pay attention to our senses, our sensuality. We'll be feeling that most of the week this week. Then on Wednesday, Wednesday is still just all about the moon in Taurus, actually. So the moon will square Venus, which rules Taurus, on Wednesday. That's actually the only transit going on Wednesday. And we could be feeling especially needy this Wednesday, like we need physical affection, we need physical touch, we need to feel good, we need that comfort food. I would say Wednesday will really be feeling that energy. Moving on to the best transit of the week. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Venus harmonizes with Jupiter on Thursday, on Jupiter Day. So we can feel this energy building throughout the week, and this is such a fortunate transit. A trine is the most fortunate angle. Jupiter is the great benefic, brings all the optimism, all the luck, all the good fortune, all of the spontaneous, adventurous energy. And with Venus and Leo, our passions are now ignited. So Venus harmonizing with Jupiter on Thursday is like this renewed sense of passion and optimism and wanting to go after our passions, being optimistic about the outcome. Love will feel bigger, we'll feel more motivated and confident about our ability to attain money, because Venus also rules money. Jupiter is very much tied to our wealth and our fortune, and also beauty. I think the world will just seem more beautiful. This is a fiery trine too. So we talked about the moon being in Taurus and needing sensual touch. This fiery trine will make us more passionate in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. So things could get steamy under this trine between Venus and Jupiter. If you are looking for love Thursday night, go out on the town. I'm telling you, you could find a connection under this trine, and in general this week, even Friday night. And, you know, also, if you're already in a relationship, this could spice things up, especially as we're talking about changing our mind, innovation leading up to this point. Could have an aha or a breakthrough moment that gets you to this point, this trine between Venus and Jupiter. And it's like, I'm just going to put myself out there, share my heart. That's what I hear with this, like sharing what's on our heart. Venus and Leo is all about our passion. We're a little bit more bold and performative right now, and Jupiter is only going to amplify that. So what a fun energy. Definitely picking up. And I want to note also, we're talking about a lot of trines this week. Mercury, the North Node, Uranus, Venus, and Jupiter all coming into different trines. As I mentioned, a trine is the most fortunate angle, the most balanced flowing angle that planets can make. So good fortune is on our side this week. Whether it's good fortune with the ideas that come through, with the innovations or changes that happen, there's good fortune linked to everything, especially love, money, and beauty by the end of the week. And Jupiter is kind of just like, let's do it. Now, Jupiter is retrograde, so even under this trine, it might not be as much forward focused, especially as we're coming into the last quarter moon on Friday, which is all about release. It could just be an appreciation as well about what's already going well, what good fortune we've already experienced with Jupiter retrograde, and that can reignite the passion in our heart. Like, wow, look at the abundance already around me. Look at the love already here. Look at what's already going well, and that can just kind of amplify. It's like, more of this, please. Amplify what's already working out, and maybe even make it better under this trine. So if you're not quite feeling the good vibes yet, by the end of the week, I promise you there's a lot of positive energy that we're experiencing, and a lot of, this could even be serendipitous. I see like serendipity involved in this. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there if you're looking to make connections, and don't be afraid to express what's on your heart if you are already in relationship. And remember, Venus isn't just about romance. It can be about friendship. So you might make a new friend this week. You might make a new business connection this week. It's all about showing up authentically and being your bold self. And that is really going to call in the good fortune. My partner's Mars is at 22 degrees in Taurus. So he just had his Mars return. Uranus and the North Node are conjunct his Mars. No wonder he's a little reactive right now. We can give him grace, right? And in the second house, money, income, work probably coming up for him too. Maybe a change in desire. Woo, he's probably going through it. So just know that there's a reason that it's a little triggering right now. Yes, have to change the routine. There you go. You're already on schedule, Nick. Love me some trines. Maybe a casino date night week. Yes, 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 yes. I am not one to promote betting. I'm not a big bettor, but as you saw if you watched last week, my partner is like all about it. And if you love to gamble or bet, I would say that Venus and Jupiter are on your side. They're both in fire signs, so maybe moderate yourself just like a little bit, because we can be really fiery, all the fire, but in general, yes, good fortune, casino date night would be a great way to use this energy. On Friday, we're coming into the last quarter moon in Gemini. So the last quarter moon, that peak releasing phase, the moon will form a conjunction to Mars at the anaretic degree first thing Friday morning. So expect to be like, whoa, I'm woken up with a jolt on Friday morning. And then the moon moves into the last quarter phase in Gemini. I see this as like conversations or connections with people that are very releasing, like sharing what's on your heart, or if there's a conversation you've been avoiding the last quarter moon in Gemini, could be a time to do that. Also, just releasing through learning new things. It kind of seems counterintuitive, but this could just be like opening yourself up to like, I'm just going to pick up that book I've not been wanting to read. And that could be a release in itself. Listening to the podcast, taking in new information can help us release the old, right? But I see this as a lot of conversations that are going to be great for releasing any sort of resentment or tension between people, sibling relationships, especially with this being in Gemini. If you have close family relationships, kind of like Katie was talking about, this change in communication for her family, this last quarter moon is here for you to release any sort of tension or patterning routines, even as Nick was talking about, Gemini being ruled by Mercury, releasing any of those patterns or routines that aren't serving you anymore. So the last quarter moon is here to help us do that on Friday. On Saturday, Mars enters Gemini, and this is a long Mars transit. Mars only usually spends about 6 weeks, 2 months in a sign, but Mars goes retrograde in October, so Mars will get to almost the end of Gemini, then he will station retrograde, then he will station direct again, I believe at the beginning of the year, maybe December, and Mars will be in Gemini through March 25th, 2023. So buckle up, beauties, because Mars is going to be in Gemini for a long time. We'll break down what Mars in Gemini will bring us a little bit more on Friday when we go through the weekend forecast. But just in general, Mars has been in Taurus. So it's been very grounded, steady action that we've been taking. Have you noticed that? It's like deeper motivations, really getting rooted in things. Mars in Gemini is like, we're going to do it all. We're going to do all the things. Lots of variety in the actions we're taking. If you're looking to change up your routine, Mars and Gemini is like, try all these things and see what you want to incorporate in your routine. Mars in Gemini from August 20th to March 25th. Such an extended stay. It's like kind of crazy that we're even looking ahead to March of next year. Who are we even going to be at this point? Well, Mars and Gemini could show us, because we're probably going to want to test out a lot of our different identities with Mars in the sign of the twins, known for multiple personalities or lots of variety. So Mars returns can be a lot of energy at once. I'm about to have my Mars return as well in Gemini. You'll probably have your Mars return 3 times, Rachel. Lots of Mars returns in this house. Yeah, but also I see Mars returns. Mars is the planet of action, aggression, but also motivation and drive. So it could be a renewed motivation or a renewed awareness around your motivation levels. I see you, Rachel, with Mars and Gemini. It's like you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to try all these different things now and see kind of what's going to pan out for me. So Mars and Gemini will be an interesting transit. It feels like Mars has been in Taurus forever, but if that feels like it's been a long time, just wait, because Mars is going to be hanging out in Gemini for a while. How often does Mars do returns? That's a good question. I believe Mars takes about 1.5 years, 2 years to go around the sun. So we have our Mars returns in general about once every 2 years. And how do you know? Well, just look up where your Mars is and then keep track of where Mars is transiting. And you'll know, for example, if you have Mars in Gemini, like Rachel, when Mars moves into Gemini, okay, my Mars return is coming. Then you can look at the specific degree. And once we start getting close to that degree, you'll know you're having your Mars return. So as we can talk about this more on Friday, bring your Mars placement and I'll let you know when you're having your Mars return. You know what, girl? I have Mars in Libra too. I actually just did a reading for somebody with Mars in Libra, and Mars in Libra is, it's at fall. It does not like to be in Libra. We are often like weighing all the different possibilities and it kind of indecisive about the actions we're taking. But I like Mars in Libra because I think it does make us a natural diplomat. So you probably had your Mars return at the very beginning of this year or end of last year, because that's when I had mine. I can't remember the exact time, but we had ours somewhat recently. We won't have another one for a while. Mars in Aries, which was kind of the beginning of this year, that was our Mars opposition. So you can really get into the weeds with this stuff, but Mars in Gemini. Mars in Gemini is going to be, for those of us with Mars in air signs, it could be very fortunate, right? Because air signs flow with air signs. So yeah, you probably relate, like, should I do this or should I do this? Ooh, Mars in Scorpio. So this won't be an intense Mars transit for you, which is nice. There won't be any major tension. But yeah, Mars in Gemini. It's going to be here for a while. We'll talk about it more on Friday. And finally, we round out the forecast with next Sunday. Feels like it's so far away from now, but it'll be here before we know it. Mercury will oppose Neptune on Sunday. So again, we'll dive a little deeper into this on Friday when we're talking through the weekend. But as those insights come through at the beginning of the week, we could start to question them or be a little confused about them by Sunday. Could be like a review of them as well, because Neptune is retrograde. But also an opposition, I think, can bring some positivity. So it can infuse a little bit of empathy, a little bit more woo-woo spiritual understanding into these very concrete ideas and clear ideas we're having with Mercury and Virgo, these clear conversations that we're having. However, I would say Sunday, probably not the best day to try to sort through anything or have a clear conversation, even though we might want to, with Mars just moving into Gemini. So just know that boundaries will probably be blurred, clarity will be fogged just a little bit on Sunday with Mercury opposing Neptune. Luckily, Mercury moves quickly. We'll only be feeling this on Sunday. So, if you're trying to have a really clear conversation, Sunday might not be the day for that, unless you really need a dose of empathy, and then you can really lean into Neptune's energy and be like, okay, I'm going to be compassionate. If you really need some help from Neptune, that could be nice on Sunday. Your guy is Mars and Aries, so you have opposite Mars. That can be very attractive, very passionate. Mars opposing Mars. It's like this push-pull sexual dynamic. Love that. You are learning beautifully. Love me some woo-woo too. Yeah. So I will also say, actually, I'm so glad you brought that up. This transit on next Sunday, Mercury opposing Neptune, let's have all the woo-woo conversations. If it doesn't make sense, we love it. Or not even if it doesn't make sense, but if we can't fully understand, X plus Y equals Z, if it's not exactly clear-cut, Mercury opposing Neptune, it's like, let's talk about the aliens. Let's talk about the woo-woo. Let's talk about our spirit guides. And that can be a really fun way to use this transit next weekend. So yeah, lean into the woo-woo. But if you're really needing to be clear on details in a conversation, I wouldn't say don't sign any contracts or anything like that. Anytime you need to double check something, this is not the transit to do it under. Instead, having those more broad, religious, spiritual, faith-based, woo-woo, out-of-this-world fantasy conversations, or even leaning into creativity with your communication. So if you like to write, doing a little fiction fantasy writing or creating in some way like that, using the fantasy part of your mind, the more intuitive section of your mind will be favored next Sunday. All right, those are the transits coming up this week. Let's return to the present moment, return to today with our affirmation, which is, I am a match for the energy I exude. This is very much the law of attraction, just in different terms. But with such fiery energy today, it felt like we should talk about our energy. And we came off of a lot of chaos last week. We're probably finding some renewed motivation, renewed optimism today, and staying in positive energy when you find it will bring more of it in. What you put out is what you receive, right? So if you're finding yourself being triggered, you might start triggering other people. And if you're finding yourself like, oh, life is so great and I'm feeling good, you'll probably notice more of that energy coming to you. So if you notice other people being triggered, come back to yourself. What energy am I putting out? And this can be helpful too, kind of coming back to what I was saying about being the observer of other people's emotions. If other people around you are being triggered, be like, okay, how can I exude more calm energy? Because trust me, I just tested this out during that realization yesterday. I was like, I am not going to react. I am just going to be calm and peaceful. And it took maybe 20 minutes, and exuding that energy, putting out that energy helped me to receive that energy, because I didn't take on the emotion. I was a witness of the emotion, and then I was just like, I'm going to put out the energy I want to receive. So I really feel like this is something to hold on to today, because things might be going dandy and optimistic, and there could just be that little trigger as the moon comes into a conjunction with Chiron tonight. So really being mindful about the energy that you're putting out. I see lots of good things happening for you, Katie, for sure. Everything you talked about with the change and the communication, yes. Lots of Taurus energy this week as well. Also, Mars is probably moving out of your 4th house, which is nice, into your 5th house, giving you some more playful, creative vibes. Lots of good things coming your way, for sure. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish today's episode with a tarot pull. I'm going to pull from the Work Your Light deck today, one of my favorites, very popular deck by Rebecca Campbell. And some of you have asked, where do you get your decks, or what are your favorite decks? Would you want like a link on my website with just all my favorite decks? I've thought about doing that for a while, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But if it's something you're interested in, I'll make it more of a priority, because I think it would be nice to just be able to point you like, here's where you can get these. I love pulling cards for the collective, but there are days also where I'm like, I just need a message just for me. And pulling cards is a great way to tap into your intuition as well. If you're feeling the chaos, if you're feeling confused, I love to just go to the cards, get the message that I need in that moment. Trust that whatever's going to come through is what I need to know. Okay, I'll work on this. I have all the ideas, you guys, all the ideas. Just also working on getting some help to implement all the ideas. Okay, there's our card. Flew out. And it is the initiation. The initiation is the card, rite of passage, crossing the threshold. You can see it's like this dark cave-like environment, and there's sun and beautiful colors on the outside of the cave. Really does feel like the cave represents that full moon, and maybe the bright colors through this little portal are what's to come this week, as long as we can stay in that energy. But let's see what the guidebook has to say for us. I don't know if I've ever pulled this card. Maybe I have. I don't know. Let's see. Rite of passage, crossing the threshold. Some of the most sacred initiation chambers and temples look scary from the outside, but are breathtakingly beautiful on the inside. This represents the journey that the soul pilgrim is required to take to reach somewhere sacred, but only the initiated can enter. Perhaps that's where you are right now. You are being tested, initiated, because you are headed somewhere sacred. Initiations require that we cross the threshold from one world or state of being to the next. We are called to face what scares us and have to be willing to lose it all in order to gain a new way of being, of safety, of security, of depth, of meaning. Initiations, like rites of passage, mark the shift from one age to the next and can take place because of emotional turmoil, great loss, grief, or devastation. But it is through the seeming hardship that our heart cracks open and our spirit is invested to step forward. We take the sacred voyage into more of who we are and who we came here to be. It can be painful and scary, but once we begin the journey, we can be more ourselves than ever before. If you are in the middle of an initiation right now, you will get through it, and one day soon you will bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs you open. You are going somewhere sacred. It will be worth it, and you're closer than you think. I love this card. So reassuring after a lot of the changes and disruptions that we just experienced. And it really feels like this transit of Mercury in Monday and Tuesday, harmonizing with the North Node and Uranus, all of that North Node Uranus activation really played into this full moon. And Mercury this week feels like it's helping us gain clarity and make sense of all these changes, and doing so in a very natural, gentle way. So trust in the changes that are happening. Trust in this rite of passage. Trust in this threshold that you're crossing right now. And I promise you, if it feels hard right now, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I have been there. I have been on my knees more times than I'd like to admit. I have asked the universe so many times, why is this happening to me? And I feel like now I am on the other side of it, and I can shine the light and show you all that it's possible. So if you're going through darkness right now, see that darkness as an initiation, the universe teaching you contrast, right? Because we have to go through the darkness to fully appreciate what it's like being in the light. So this is your initiation. This is your rite of passage. Any difficulties right now, this card is here to reassure you that they are teaching you important lessons to help you crack open even more and shine your light even brighter. Dead on. I love that. I love that. Oh, do you like the primordial tarot decks? I've never tried them, but I'm always open. Always open. I don't have a P.O. box, but find me on Instagram and we'll chat. Yeah, exactly. Break down to break through. Such Uranus energy, right? Uranus causes the breakdown so we can innovate and break through. And Uranus can be an initiation. It can be rough, but it's definitely an initiation into the next level. Katie, I've lost my dad and 2 cats in the last year and a half, not to mention all the shifts in my relationships with my family. And sometimes when we're in the middle of it, we're like, what? Why did I get this? Like, why did the universe deal me these cards? Why? But you're here and you're learning, and you are becoming brighter and more influential and more vibrant every day because of these hardships. You're becoming more trusting of the universe, right? So, we're sending you love, and I know it's so hard to go through any sort of grief like that. And I can only imagine what it's like to lose a parent. So I'm just sending you all the love and all the encouragement that you are shining brighter because of the hardships you've gone through. The light is coming. Absolutely. What a journey. What a journey. One day, I will share the whole journey of how I got here, because it's not a pretty journey. And one day, when my partner is ready, we will talk about everything we went through, the major initiation that we went through and are kind of still going through in a lot of ways. But it gets easier, I promise. Yes, sending all the healing energy to you. Flow through life, embrace the light and dark, because that's what helps us grow. We can't have the light without the darkness. It's duality. The darkness isn't bad. A lot of beautiful things are created in darkness. I would not be here talking to you if I didn't go through a dark night of the soul, if I didn't, fall down to my knees and ask, like, why is this happening? I would not be here. I would just still be playing through the same patterns that generations before me have played out. And I'm still working on breaking those patterns, but it's about awareness. Awareness is everything, and you are all so aware, which is beautiful. Oh, good. I'm so glad this was helpful for you. And I love you all. Sending love to Katie. You got this. You got this. We love you, Katie. We are so happy you're here. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this episode of Transits today. Hope this helped you look ahead to the week with optimism and excitement, and know that brighter days are ahead. We're still moving away from that full moon, but we've got Venus and Jupiter on our side later this week. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Transits Today. I don't think we'll have a new episode of The Spiritual Journalist tomorrow. Really trying to lean into moderation, not burn myself out, give myself some grace. So I'll have more updates about that tomorrow. I'm glad you liked that video. Yeah, and that's just one portion of my story, but everything happens for a reason, and I still deeply honor all of the journalists out there doing hard work. I just knew my soul was meant for something a little bit different and a little bit bigger. So there are still days where I'm like, do I ever want to get back into news? And it's usually a no, but maybe one day, maybe. I like this a lot better, though. I like to be able to chat with you all. And how cool would it be if we could watch the news and then, like, as a viewer, interact and be like, oh, this is what's going on. I mean, it would be really chaotic. I understand why they don't do that, but I'm glad you liked it. Hugs to you. Have a great day, Nick. Have an amazing day, Rose. Have an amazing week, Katie. You guys just building off of one another, sending love to you all. I'm so grateful you showed up for yourself today. I'm so grateful you continue to show up for this community we're building. Officially at 1,000 subscribers, which just my heart is overflowing from that last week. And yeah, I'm just so grateful you are here. I love you all. I will be right back here tomorrow morning with another episode. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.